Welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show, hosted by Mason Kern. He keeps his nose to the ground to report on what's trending in professional and college sports, to inform, enlighten, and entertain. And now it's
the Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog, Mason Kern.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host Mason Kern, here with you every Sunday from 7:30 to 8 a.m. And obviously I'm certainly glad you decided to join me this morning. And as always, I do have some great stuff in my kennel. Today we're going to be talking to Jordan Campbell, the former NFLer, as well as Betsy Mitchell, the former Olympian. I'll also be covering some sports hot topics, and as usual for you basketball-specific fans, I got your interesting happenings on the hardwood. Alright guys, in sports hot topics this week, we're going to focus in and take a look at the college football bowl game scene as we are in bowl season now, and USA Today actually just released at the top of this past week, I think on Friday, their updated rankings for the top college bowl games to watch based on watchability and intrigue. So I want to start with the Arizona schools here locally. Obviously, the two main players being Arizona State and the University of Arizona. Well, only one of those teams is actually participating in a bowl this year, as the Territorial Cup between ASU and U of A was obviously won by ASU in that pretty historic comeback, 19 points down in the fourth quarter. ASU coming back and ending the Wildcats' hopes of making a bowl game. They were sitting at 5 wins before that. Didn't get to that 6th win to become bowl eligible. So U of A is not participating in a bowl this year in the first year under newly hired head coach Kevin Sumlin. But Arizona State winning 7 games in the regular season, 7-5 heading into the Las Vegas Bowl to take on an 11-2 Mountain Western Conference in Fresno State. And Fresno State, pretty challenging team, especially in their conference, ended up winning against Boise State, winning their conference title. So pretty exceptional year for them. ASU, obviously under head coach Herm Edwards for the first year, pretty remarkable to say to see the turnaround based on fan and media kind of expectations. ASU was picked to finish last in the South in the preseason media poll, ended up getting second, and they were the only team left in the conference to control their own destiny. Going up, losing to Oregon kind of ended their hope once Utah ended up winning the conference. But in any case, ASU taking on Fresno State in the Las Vegas Bowl, that comes up at number 13 in USA Today's rankings based on watchability and intrigue. And at the end of the day, one of these teams, ASU and U of A, here locally in Arizona, making a bowl push, comes in the top 15. Pretty cool for them. But into the top 10, the Citrus Bowl sits at number 10, which is obviously between number 15 Kentucky and number 12 Penn State. It's a New Year's Bowl, January Bowl. It's major marker for Kentucky. Kind of a letdown for Penn State, which did make successive New Year's Six bowls under James Franklin, but then ended up obviously settling for the Citrus after losing 3 times at Big Ten Conference play, bouncing around to number 5, the Fiesta Bowl, also on January 1st, number 11 LSU versus undefeated number 7 UCF, stemming back from last season. They're undefeated all the way going back that far. And then the Rose Bowl at 4, that's going to be between Pac-12 team and number 9 Washington and number 5 Ohio State. Urban Meyer's going to be coaching in his final game in that one at Ohio State. At least, obviously, he said he's stepping down. At number 3, you got the Cotton Bowl as we start getting into the college football playoff, obviously, and then the Orange Bowl at number 2, with rounding it out at number 1, the college football playoff national championship game, which is going to be between the winners of number 2 Clemson and number 3 Notre Dame and number 1 Alabama, number 4 Oklahoma. But it is bowl season. I hope you got your popcorn ready because it should be interesting to see how these games finish out. Alright guys, don't go away. The Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio AM 1060 will be right back after this quick break.
If you're losing your hair or notice that it's getting thinner, Listen closely. You can do something about it without messy lotions or drugs. Now you can get clinically proven hair growth results at home with the Hair Max Laser. Hair Max delivers nourishing laser light energy to stimulate hair growth right at the roots. It's FDA cleared, recommended by doctors, and best of all, it has an amazing 93% success rate in clinical studies in both men and women, so you can be sure it works. Use it just 3 times a week and experience new hair growth, increased density, and healthier, fuller, more attractive hair in just weeks with a 5-month money-back guarantee. Now, for a limited time, save 15% on your Hair Max order at hairmax.com. Type in code RADIO at checkout or call 1-800-9REGROW. That's hairmax.com, code RADIO, or 1-800-9REGROW. Experience real hair growth and save 15% with Hair Max.
Hey there, everybody. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Jordan Campbell, the former NFL player turned owner and president of Winter Circle Athletics and Prep School. After playing his college football at USC, Jordan elevated to the NFL, where he played for the Cincinnati Bengals, Washington Redskins, and Kansas City Chiefs. It was during his last pro stint in 2014 that he created Winter Circle Athletics, having established a huge following generated from his remarkable series of YouTube training videos. So Jordan is here to share more info into his professional career and about Winter Circle Athletics. Hey, Jordan, thanks for joining us here on the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could be here today.
Thank you for having me. Really excited to be able to talk to you guys and kind of educate you on what we do out here.
Yeah, really exciting for sure. So, first off, I mean, like I said, from the NFL to now owner and president of Winter Circle Athletics, what is WCA? Just like a brief little background and kind of how it came about.
Winter Circle Athletics started off as a training facility back in 2014. Once I left the Bengals, I pretty much invested my signing bonus, which was about $5,000, into a 3,000 square foot training facility. For just at the time, just for me and my pro friends. For example, Vontez Burfict, who played at ASU, Will Sutton, who also played at ASU, Carl Bradford, who also played at ASU. All of us local guys here in Corona, California, we wanted a place to call our own and train at. So Winter Circle originally started off as a pro training facility, and then slowly developed into creating a 70,000 square foot campus here in our community that services kids from 5 years old all the way up to pro athletes. And also we have the #1 prep school on the West Coast that pretty much hosts grade 3rd through 8th grade here on campus.
Well, yeah, that's definitely a really cool kind of transition into that. I mean, and this really hasn't been done before. So why is that? Why are you guys the first to kind of come up with the idea and kind of make a charter school dedicated to student athletes?
I think very few student athletes or football players go all the way through the process and kind of understand what they want to do after football. Everyone really focuses on football and getting to the NFL or becoming a pro athlete. And just kind of my time at SC, I've seen a lot of guys who got drafted before me who were done playing ball immediately after the NFL. So it kind of allowed me to start thinking outside the box, just through my own personal experience and everything I went through. And not sure why nobody else does it, but for us, we wanted to kind of take a risk and do something that's never been done and really create an academic program for student athletes. I think a lot of people are just scared to get away from your traditional public or private school. But for us, we just wanted to be different and create something unique and special. And obviously we had a lot of fight back in the beginning, but now we're the largest school here in the area of what we do.
Right, yeah, and I mean, I know some people might say there's some parallels possibly to like IMG Academy. So what's kind of separating you from the likes of like places like IMG?
Yeah, so I went to IMG Academy when I did some pre-NFL combine training. The difference between us and IMG Academy finds the best players across the country, across the world, to scholarship $80,000 to bring into their program to help develop them for that next level. I guess we're more the grassroots. We find the kids who dream about getting to that level, and we help structure a foundation for them at the grassroots level that will allow them to get all the same resources as your pro athletes on the academic side and also on the training side, and really build them up to hopefully one day a school like IMG will give them an $80,000 scholarship because they're so developed and so good to fly out to Florida and go there. So IMG really focuses on the kids who are already developed, who already have pro potential. We take the kid who has a pro dream and help guide him on his way to be the best student athlete possible. And if he wants to be a pro athlete and has those aspirations, we're going to help kind of give him everything he needs to reach those dreams.
Right, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a really cool approach and definitely pretty inspirational for sure. Now, I mean, for you kind of coming up and then like playing football, then going to USC and then playing in the NFL, what did you kind of learn like just from playing football in general, and how did that sport kind of shape your life into doing what you're doing now?
Well, I was blessed to kind of do a prep school year myself back in 8th grade, kind of what we're doing here with Toby Gerhardt and his brother Garth Gerhardt. Toby went to Stanford, Garth went to ASU. We played together in high school, and I really seen how much it benefited me in that 8th grade year. But really when I went to USC and I kind of seen everything that was going on at that machine, it really gave me kind of an inside perspective on what was right with the program, what was wrong, what could be better, and just learning those things as I went through high school, college, and the pros. Really took that experience and paid attention to everything from how they marketed the athletes, what worked for the athletes, what didn't work for the athletes, and what could be better for the athletes, and really was able to come with this idea, this vision, and implement it here in Southern California and just watch it take off.
Right, yeah, and I mean, so far, what are just some of the kind of results from your program so far?
The results from our program so far, for example, ASU last year, they've never offered an 8th grade in the history of ASU's program. Herm Edwards and Coach Pierce offered one of our 8th graders here last year. Every single year we have multiple 8th graders getting offered from Oregon, ASU, USC. We have 5 years in a row of USC offering our 8th graders. The most recent player who's having success is Gatorade Player of the Year, DJ Ugalele from St. John Bosco. We have athletes now getting drafted to the pros. We have over $1 million of scholarships going out to kids from our program to high school programs like Mater Dei, Bosco, Olu, J. Sarah, some of the top prestigious private schools here in Southern California. That costs about $100,000 to go there for 4 years. And every year these programs are coming in, recruiting our kids to go further their education and opportunity at one of their schools here in Southern California.
Definitely really cool, yeah, for sure. And I mean, in terms of, the college football recruiting landscape, especially for you guys as a program who's kind of developing the grassroots for these kids, and you're saying a lot of them are getting offered as early, as 8th grade. I'm sure Southern California, pretty predominant USC, UCLA kind of running ground, but here in Phoenix, ASU, have you seen since the new coaching staff, since Herm Edwards, Antonio Pierce come in, at kind of an influx of an ASU presence in Southern California?
Oh, of course. I played for Herm Edwards in the All-Star game back when I was coming out of college. Great coach, great mind. He's obviously been there before and has had success at the highest level. Coach Pierce being a local guy, coaching at Long Beach Poly, his whole mission was really to take advantage of USC and UCLA having a down year and taking all this talent and pipelining them to ASU, kind of how Chip Kelly did a while back with Oregon. And you could definitely see the program changing. You guys have Cole Cabral, who's a starter for you guys at ASU. He's one of our kids, Jared Bell, who ended up signing there last year, who had Alabama offer, UCLA offer. So now they're really getting these blue chip type of players there, and we see it already turning around their program with what they did this year and the recruiting class that they're actually bringing in this year. We have a couple of guys who are recruiting, and again, a lot of them are from the Southern California area. And the last time ASU did that with Vontaze Burfict, McGee, Will Sutton, Shelly Lyons, all those Southern California guys, ASU is pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Really cool for sure. Well, Jordan, we're running out of time. Thank you so much for taking the time. Where can our listeners go to connect more with you or to find out about WCA?
And please follow us at Winter Circle Athletics, which is on our Instagram, or WCA_training on Twitter. Or if you really want to follow our journey and our process, go on to YouTube and put in Winter Circle Athletics, and you can see everything that we've done since day one, from 2014, all the way up until now.
Definitely really cool. Thank you so much again, Jordan. All right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060. We'll be right back after this short break.
If you're tired of hair falling flat, check out the npbeautiful.com flat iron by celebrity hairstylist David Babai, known for Kate Hudson's beachy waves. This sleek modern iron is curved, allowing for endless styling options like waves, flips, curls, and ringlets. Innovative rose gold vibrating plates heat up to 400 degrees, shuffling the hair back and forth to minimize tugging, slipping, or pulling. And 10% of net proceeds support pediatric cancer and animal welfare causes. Find it at npbeautiful.com.
Hey there, everybody. You're listening to the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix. I'm your host, Mason Kern, and joining us now is Betsy Mitchell, a former gold and silver medalist U.S. Olympic swimmer, and notably a world record holder, and the current Director of Athletics, Physical Education, and Recreation at Caltech in Pasadena, California. Since her time in the Olympics, Betsy has been a passionate advocate for women in sports, women in leadership, and in leading the conversation about the state of college sports in the United States, which she advocates is in desperate need of a rebranding and reframing of the role athletics play on college and university campuses. So with that, Betsy is here to share more perspective on the state of college sports, as well as getting into her Olympic background as well. Hey, Betsy, thanks for joining the Sports Watchdog Radio Show. So glad you could be here today.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. Can't wait to get into it.
Yeah, us too. So like I said, really glad you could join us today. So like I said, I mean, as an outspoken person for and kind of leading the conversation in the state of college sports, what is the current state of collegiate athletics today, in your opinion?
Well, fantastic in a word, awesome in another one, highly worthwhile. I believe very much in the uniquely American enterprise that is collegiate athletics. The vast majority of kids who choose to play college sports, more than 600,000 of them, are having a great experience, right? They're doing what they love. They're learning a lot about themselves and their place in the world, competing hard, showing passion, and learning grit. It's 95% great. As with anything, the tail wags the dog when something's a little out of whack, and that little piece is the place where entertainment sports sort of bump into educational sports. So I'm not a believer in throwing the baby out with the bathwater here, but a few of our high-profile pre-professional sports are getting it wrong.
And so, I mean, you say 95% is like you said in the words highly favorable, worthwhile. What is that other 5% that could use some fixing or some extra thought to?
Sure. Well, I think the sports where for again less than 1% of students in college who go on to a professional career in playing sports, right? It's less than 1% of kids who play college sports do that. So when that starts to drive how we think about all college sports, that's where I just have to stand up, put my hand up and say, now wait a minute. So again, majority being well served by, I think, the NCAA, its regulation, the balance that's required to be a scholar and an athlete at the same time. But for those kids who are truly in the pre-professional track, right? I think that they're the ones who often are getting the raw end of the deal, either from not finishing school. Again, maybe they're choosing to getting involved with sports agents when that's against the rules, to high pressure, high power, egocentric coaches who might be running a little roughshod over the educational endeavor. Again, those kids sign up for that, right? They're the ones pushing for that dream, or their parents are pushing for that dream. But those in some of those cases, whether it's Division I basketball, in some cases college football, there's just a few things that I think we've got wrong. And
how then do you kind of go about looking to change some of those things to make them a better overall? How do you kind of go about looking to start changing some of those things?
Sure. Well, number one, as in any arena, right, is the integrity of leadership. So my colleagues who are athletic directors, all right, need to keep in mind what is the primary goal, and the primary goal should be helping students get an education and being able to segment what the pre-professional track is versus and distinct from pretty much everybody else, and not try to make everybody else conform to what might actually be good regulation or out-of-the-box thinking about the way to do those pre-professional sports. Honestly, I think this actually comes down to the adults behaving better, whether that's college presidents who allow the keep up with the Joneses, the facilities competition, the outrageous spending of money on what is otherwise an awesome thing, right? Just competition for its own sake. And we let coaches' salaries get out of whack. We let the facility escalation get out of whack. And that's impacting, I think, public perception, for one. I think it's interfering with higher education in general in some places, right? College sports are great to develop school spirit and alumni and drive alumni giving, and those aren't bad things in and of themselves, but we have to have integral leadership rather than I think, again, letting the tail wag the dog on these things.
Right, yeah, and I mean, so much kind of to unpack there with some ideas for change. How then do you propose, or is there any ideas for ways that these changes can happen now or possibly just down the road in the future?
Well, I think that one thing that's coming up is at the January annual meeting of the NCAA, there'll be legislation about the Board of Governors, and this is a reaction to Division I basketball reform. And the Board of Governors is supposed to oversee the entirety of the NCAA, not just Division I basketball. And so, they're trying to add some outside voices, folks who aren't college presidents, folks who aren't athletic directors, who aren't coaches, to that mix, more focused on the pre-professionalization of basketball, sports agents, sports commentators, no offense whatsoever to you or anyone else, but those are not educators, those are not higher education leaders, right, who should be overseeing on the Board of Governors the main stream, the majority of the collegiate experience. So there's just more segmentation happening when this vote happens, when they're asking for these outside influences again, rather than just more internal, integral leadership. So that's one, right? Is that's not a good thing, in my opinion. I think I'd probably be in the minority on that. I think that the answers lie within. I think if we could get back to a little bit of basics, and leave the professionalization of and the segmentation of those sports just to those sports, I think we'd be better off.
Right, and kind of getting into the regulation aspect of kind of promoting the changes and bettering kind of what the NCAA or college sports kind of down the road needs to become. How much of a factor is kind of the governing body, the NCAA? Like, how much are they kind of influencing the landscape of college sports overall?
Well, it's fascinating because the NCAA, when we refer to it that way, it is made up of its members, right? So every school has one vote. It's divided into divisions where the legislative process is supposed to work. There's a very large staff, which obviously in some counts is needed to do the work of regulation, of leadership, of keeping the philosophy, and that's all well and good. But I think that what happens is the outside influences of the vast amount of money that's generated either through television contract or other sponsorships, it has become an entity in and of itself rather than what it is, which is a membership-driven, membership-serving organization, and it really has taken on a life of its own. So a lot of the things that it does, I think, are just sort of spinning off of core mission, right, which is to support kids playing sports and to help its members do that in a fair-minded, sportsmanlike way, right, and protecting the student athletes sort of from themselves, making sure that the endeavor's a balanced thing, and complements education as opposed to sort of gets in the way of a 4-year degree. So I think that we need to get back to basics as far as what the NCAA actually is, right? A member-serving organization rather than a revenue-generating organization. Because in and of themselves, right, the costs associated with putting a team on the field should be borne by the institution, by the university, and it can be what that university wants to spend. But we've gotten really far away from sort of our core mission, again, in some of our sports.
Right, yeah. I mean, some definitely very unique and interesting perspective from Betsy. Thank you so much for taking the time. We're running out of time here, so where can our listeners go to get more perspective, to connect with you, or to find out more?
Well, certainly there are lots of those. My website is www.betsymitchell.us, but ncaa.org is certainly a great site, so they can really learn what the NCAA is supposed to be, and certainly what's upcoming next.
Definitely. Well, Betsy, thank you so much for taking the time. And all right, everyone, the Sports Watchdog Radio Show on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 will be right back after this commercial break.
If you have a lot of devices that are always power hungry, get the Charge Hub Power Station 360 Surge Protector Power Strip from limitlessinnovations.com. It's the most effective charging station on the market today. It features quick and convenient charging up to 10 devices simultaneously. That's juice for 10 devices all at once. The Charge Hub 360 is also designed with a safety power surge to protect all gadgets and devices while providing optimal charge. Find it at limitlessinnovations.com.
You ready to hoop it up?
This is Happenings on the Hardwood.
All right, guys, as always, at the end of the Sports Watchdog Radio Show here on NBC Sports Radio, AM 1060 Phoenix, we're going to pivot on over to the Hardwood and talk some basketball talk. A lot has been going on in the NBA recently. I think one of the more interesting stories coming out of Chicago is Jabari Parker. They're benching him, not playing the best defense. They're really not liking his effort on that side of the ball. So they're actually benching him. Obviously, they lured him away from Milwaukee in free agency. Was a pretty big get at the start, at least many fans thought. Really hasn't flown under the radar this season, and I mean, Chicago is really rallying around Lauri Markkanen, obviously the University of Arizona product. But in other news, James Harden dropped the fourth 50-point triple-double of his career against the Lakers in their win on Thursday. And that was the fourth of his career and the most in NBA history. So James Harden officially has the most 50-point triple-doubles in NBA history, sitting with 4. I mean, that's a pretty remarkable feat to get 50 points in a game, let alone a 50-point triple-double. But, I mean, kudos to him, obviously leaving Oklahoma City and making a star-studded name for himself in Houston, MVP status, ASU alum, obviously, in James Harden. Other news, Nike's NBA Christmas jerseys are not going to be anything like special anymore. A lot of people had a lot of backlash to that just because everyone likes the sleeves that they've done, that Adidas did in the past, and some of the jersey combos that were done on Christmas Day games and Christmas night games before. But those are apparently gone, according to SB Nation, and apparently they're quote-unquote pissed about it. But pretty funny tidbit there. But, I mean, a lot going on in the NBA as usual. And you guys know that I'm gonna be here. I'm giving you the down low on everything NBA related and our always interesting happenings on the Hardwood segment. But that was this week's Happenings on the Hardwood. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Well, that's a wrap, everyone. Anybody wanting to connect with me, the Sports Watchdog, on Twitter can do so at @SportsWatchdog, and on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube as well at The Sports Watchdog. So until next time, keep your eye on the ball.
The Sports Watchdog.
The Sports Watchdog Kern.